Nice to be here with everybody today. Thanks to everyone for joining. I know, especially in the nonprofit sector, it is a really big time of year. So I know everyone's very busy, and we're in one of the last big weeks before the holiday season takes hold, Giving Tuesday, all of those things. So I really am grateful that you chose to spend the time with us. And I just wanted to start by talking a little bit about why we're doing this webinar today. And I think that'd be useful. As Saoirse said, I'm Chief Strategy Officer at NationBuilder, and it's really been, one of the joys of my career to be able to be part of building software for nonprofits. And we're serving folks in hundreds of countries. Getting to bear witness to the impact of the sector has been incredible, of course. But truly, the reason I'm here at all is because of my background in the nonprofit sector myself. So I really consider myself a nonprofit leader first. Prior to coming to NationBuilder for years, I ran the Roosevelt Institute, which is a think tank based in New York. And we had hundreds of chapters across the country. And that was really like the transformative moment in my professional career to really get a chance to fall in love with the nonprofit sector and the people. The intention to do really mission-driven work as your life's work is so critical for all of us. And also, really the reason that I chose to be in the tech space at all, to try to serve those folks. So I'm grateful, like I said, that you took the time today, and hopefully it will be worth it. The intention is to really give you all useful tips that you can take away and start employing right away to provide data from that huge data set of sort of aggregated, anonymized thousands of folks from around the world who are using the software to try to build and grow their impact as a nonprofit organization. We want to share some of that out. And I'll do my best to do all of that expeditiously so that you can all get on with your day and we can answer any questions that you might have. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen as we start to walk through some of this data and goodness. Okay, so the title's bold that we're going to talk about a new era of nonprofit engagement, but I really do think that's what it is. I wouldn't have said it just to be hyperbolic. So the reason that I really think we are in this new era, you already met me, is because the world is really different. Folks know the last 18 months have been hard. We've been through, obviously, a global pandemic that many of us are still suffering the impact of. We had an ensuing economic crisis, not just here in the US, but globally. And obviously, it's been a lot for a lot of folks. The outcome and recovery from that has been really unequal. We've seen social movements grow. We've seen, a movement of folks really reflecting on the purpose in their lives, as many of us have done. What are we doing every day? Getting up and serving, and is it the right thing? And the truth is that you don't go through all of that and come out the other side with the world being the same. The world is different. And I'm of the firm belief that it needs the nonprofit sector more than ever, not just in sort of a warm, fuzzy way, in a real way. There are acute needs that are even more heightened than they were before the pandemic. And also there are acute needs from our potential supporters who are looking for and seeking purpose more than ever before, arguably, and really wanting to pour into mission-driven organizations like the ones that you're running. And I think that's an important flip to talk about, because the power dynamic is, and sort of understanding that and really owning our missions and leaning into being mission forward is such an important first priority zero step to growing our impact, fundraising more, all of that. So the world is different, and that's showing up in all kinds of studies. You all probably have read many of these, but just to bring out a few. The recent McKinsey study from April of this year, I thought was really striking. If folks haven't read it, it's worth probably a chance to peruse. But the takeaway there is basically nearly 2/3 of folks who they surveyed, who are US based, I think in this case, employees, really were reflecting on COVID, and it caused them to think about their purpose. Half of them were actually considering a career change, looking at to do more, or at least get more involved outside of their day-to-day work in organizations like yours that are purpose forward. People are really sort of taking stock, and it's a major shift. There's like a major transformation happening where folks are moving careers and really leaning into their mission in a different way. And you all have been doing that work forever. Nonprofits have been serving purpose-driven forward, purpose-first organizations for so long. People are hungry for and want to join them. I think that's the major takeaway. The other thing to note here is that's also a study to check out, especially if you have any sort of corporate sponsors or corporate donors. It's important for them to know this information as well. But really, once you're able to articulate a authentic higher purpose for your organization, and you'll probably have all seen this magic occur, people derive a real sense of meaning, make significant and surprising contributions, become energized, more committed. This is all sort of statistically significant as it was studied in this HBR analysis. But I've seen it at work. When I was at Roosevelt, I got to bear witness to this, folks joining the organization, wearing t-shirts with our mission emblazoned on them, and then really taking on incredible tasks, sort of leaning into the mission and serving the organization in a way that, just sending an email never could. And it's really those folks, your supporters, those like 5% of your people that are deeply committed to your organization, getting equipped to share about you and tell the world about you, that will drive incredible, lasting impact. And arguably, there's never been a more critical time for your organizations to be high impact because of the real need, because of the interest in causes right now, because of the desire for people to be purpose forward. And because all of that is like primed moment for us to do everything that we can to help equip you all to be as high impact as you can. So all to say, this is a really special, I think, and unique moment. And rooting in that is critical because, as I said at the top, priority zero for nonprofit organizations really is leading with your missions. That's your superpower. Not only is it the thing that you exist to do, but it's the reason people will be drawn to you, finding those, super supporters, those, again, 5% of your supporters who this is a core part of their identity. They want to be in this with you. And that is like the critical center for all your fundraising, the critical center for driving higher engagement rates, and figuring out how to lead in your communications with that, in your engagement strategy with that is really, like I say, priority zero. And just to share, when I started running a nonprofit, I'd never raised $1, for example, and I had real stuff to work through to get to the place where I was, sort of ready to take that on. And a critical part of the equation for me was really always remembering, as I'm sure many of you do and have heard, that you're making an offer, not an ask. And that's really an honor for people to participate with you, not an inconvenience. I just think it's always a useful place to start to remind there. The rest of this will be rooted in data and tactics. But the beginning is remembering you are uniquely oriented towards purpose in a way that is so critical to the communities you serve and so compelling to the people who want to be with you. And so it's an offer for people to participate with you that is such a gift to the community that wants to be your supporter, such a gift to them. It's something they're really looking for and hungry for, and you're able to offer that. And it's really an honor to them. It's something they want to do. So we don't have to worry as much, I think, as we're inclined to do about inconveniencing folks with an additional email or what have you. People are hungry to be engaged. And those 5% of folks who are most engaged with you, most identified with you, will be the superpower that drives you through everything else. So rooted in that, let's dig into those tactics. This new era of engagement in this changed world that we're in, we're really seeing it bear out to have 3 really critical rules that bear, again, sort of disproportionate improvement to your outcomes. So 1, this is written in a way that's like intentionally a little bit trite, but doing good can be fun. Again, it's an offer, not an ask, right? So if we think about it in that framework, how do we make sure that we're offering folks an opportunity to participate in our community, to really be with us in this, not give one time, but be invested in a community that cares about something that they care about, that they can be a part of, that they can identify with? How can we prime that kind of relationship with our supporters? And what we're seeing are a few things. So 1, using things like leaderboards help to make your engagement with that community a lot more social. So again, it's an offer to be with you. So how do we do that and presence that, especially in a world that's more and more digital than it has been historically? So one way organizations have done this is to use leaderboards, so they can see other people who are top participants, other people who are engaging in the tasks and activities you want them to, who are recruiting friends, who are raising money, and it really drives kind of a social element. It also points at the second one here, gamification, which really works. It makes this kind of engagement fun and makes you feel like you're with other people, all working hard to pitch in and accomplish something together, and you can see the result of your impact. You can see directly sort of how you're showing up and what the impact is of that. So these point systems can be a really, really good way of doing that. And we're seeing that engaging in gamification, leaderboards, point systems, in sense, repeat donation increases donor LTV, for example, lifetime value. So they'll give more over time, and can really also help you as a tool to identify who those top 5% are, because you're basically putting, points against it. You're creating a scale that says, I really care about people helping me fundraise and recruit. I'm going to assign different points to those things, and I can get an objective measure of who the folks are who are participating most with me. I guess the other thing I would say, and I have to say this as a tech sort of executive at this point, but I should have been, when I was running a nonprofit, asking more of my tech. It shouldn't just be providing me with reports on how I did last month. It can be a source to, in this digital world, facilitate this kind of togetherness, a sense of community, this kind of sense of fun, and also this sort of objective measurement of who my top contributors are, so that I can really lean in and invest in those relationships. The last thing here in making it fun is really mixing your medium and diversifying your action. This is more well known now than it was a couple years ago, but the myth that donors are donors and they live in a donor silo has been busted. Folks participate more longer term, will give more consistently, will have higher LTVs in a pretty dramatic sense if they're not just being offered to donate. Some always will just donate, but you can really increase loyalty a lot by asking folks to take other actions, to donate, but also volunteer, or to come to an event, to host something, to participate in sort of fun activities like petitions or pledges or money bombs. Sort of any action folks take makes them a more valuable longer term contributor, because it increases this sense of loyalty, which again can up to double sort of lifetime values. So this is a really critical first step. Sort of think about people wanting to be with you, and then we can start to reflect on how to make that more fun, especially in this digital environment. The next big takeaway, if there are three, this is really the meat of the sandwich. It's not just the fun piece of ciabatta we talked about. It's really the crux of it, is that you're remembering that your supporters, and especially, like I've been mentioning, those like 5% of folks who care about you the most, who identify with you, who are in this with you, are your best fundraisers, advocates, and recruiters. I think we've sometimes thought about the sort of ladder of engagement as like ending on a donation. Again, that myth's been burst. For some people, it's their first step. They make like a small donation and then move on. Instead, the real ladder of engagement, the ultimate way that folks can engage with you, the highest impact, highest value way they can engage with you, is not just being a donor, but being a fundraiser. Not just signing a petition, but getting other people to sign it. Not just joining or signing up for your email list, but recruiting others, right? And it will always be that they are more effective at doing that than any email you ever send from your nonprofit account, than any sort of blast message. People telling their friends, this peer-to-peer recruitment, it's not a phase, it's not a fad. The people who are really excelling and growing dramatically have figured out how to take that beyond something that feels transactional into a real principle of how they're doing their work and driving and growing their organizations. So there are lots of things to remember here as you're taking this on, but it's really about equipping your people and giving them the tools they need to be effective advocates, fundraisers, recruiters. So if you hired someone to be a great recruiter for you or a great fundraiser, what would you give them and how would you equip them? You might be familiar already with Marshall Gans and the snowflake model of organizing, but advocacy organizations, political campaigns have done this forever. And one of the sort of passions in my life is really trying to work hard to help nonprofit organizations figure out how to do this at scale, leveraging tech, because we know that it works, even if you don't have tens of thousands of campaign volunteers to knock doors. We can equip folks and really give them what they need to be effective at this for you. There are a lot of sort of, again, things to remember, but I would say there's three little principles. So one, know your people, invest in who those 5% are, really get to know them, and really get to understand how they want to participate with you. You can use some of the data from leaderboards and things like that to figure that out. To move them to action. So it's not enough to have, X thousand people on your email list. What matters is if they're passively sitting there or if they're actively in motion with you. So trying to get all our supporters in motion. Everyone's on an engagement ladder, taking the next step, means that we've taken the time to build what those steps are, to think about all the ways that we want folks to engage with us and always be offering another one on a pretty consistent rhythm. And then finally, to distribute leadership to those folks who who have stepped up and are moving through that engagement ladder and who really want this to be part of their purpose. So let's give them the tools that they need to be your best fundraisers, advocates, recruiters. So this can look like something as simple as, setting up peer-to-peer fundraising pages, personal pages, so that giving people individual recruiter links so that they can share things with friends and you can tell who's bringing whom into the organization. And it can get to the place where it's something as complex as building an entire network. I really attribute our success at Roosevelt and the MacArthur Award that we ultimately won for creative and effective institutions to the network that we built. We went so far as to say, we want to distribute leadership. We want people to identify with the organization. We know they're our best advocates, fundraisers, recruiters. So we're going to create a chapter structure and really give them a complete suite of tools at the chapter level to email their people, to build their own sort of website pages on top of our templates, to come up with event ideas. And we're really going to be able to bear witness to that, see what works, and really share it with the rest of the network. And that kind of responsibility that you're giving to folks really dramatically can increase loyalty. It's also a great way to learn and listen, because they are building programming they want to participate in instead of you having to guess what kind of programming they want to participate in. So again, there's a large spectrum here. Different organizations are comfortable at different levels of it, but a real sort of, I would argue for a more radical approach to distributing leadership than we might think of out the gate. It's really bearing out to be the highest impact way that we can drive long-term sustainable organizations that have their own ongoing momentum with people who really want to participate with us every day. So again, in the theme of sort of asking more from your tech, there are lots of different tech solutions that let you do this stuff. NationBuilder is certainly one of them, but if you want sort of a more piecemeal approach, you can go out there on the market and find things. I would just say that we really shouldn't accept just a basic CRM with some reporting. We should get dynamism. We should get the ability to distribute leadership. We should get these recruiter links, personal profile pages, all of that, because we really need it in this new digital era where this has become really fact and not just some hypothesis. All right. And then the third thing that I want to dig into with you all is about really going back to the beginning of it. In this moment, when people really want to participate, really are evaluating the purpose-driven work that they're doing, and most importantly, when there's need that's arguably unprecedented, we have a responsibility across the sector. I run a nonprofit now based in Michigan called Scout, and I really feel this responsibility to be present when people are offering to help, when they want to help, and be an answer for that. We took that really seriously as a company and actually partnered with an organization called Action Button. We did an acquisition earlier this year and brought them into the NationBuilder family, because that was really their ethos. When you're sort of reading the news and there's an issue that you want to take action on, how can you be right there to offer a solution and give people an outlet, a chance to really help when they want to help? And it's really incumbent on all of us to, whatever that means for us, think about it and try to figure out some unique and creative ways to be at the place people are when they're realizing what some of these issues are and sort of wanting to help. So I have a few tips here that people can consider. So I'm going to start at the bottom, actually. So the first one is about partnering and thinking about our partnerships. I think as a nonprofit leader myself, when I've previously been a little bit intimidated about approaching businesses and corporations for sponsorships, that's not a part of everybody's model. Certainly, foundations or individual giving can be more than sufficient. And I'm always, when I get a chance to talk about fundraising, want to put in a plug for building a really robust small donor program. It's freedom. There's no strings. It's general support funding. People, and once you sort of find out who your top donors are that really want to support you and they can tell their friends, it can gain a life of its own and really buoy your work for years to come. So I always want to put a plug in for that. But if corporate sponsorships happen to be part of your strategy, really thinking about how you can visibilize those in different and unique ways can be really, really powerful. So partnering with, for example, a corporate, but also like a media partner, and getting a lot of public sort of exposure can be a really good way to go, but has historically been really hard to access. There are tech tools now available that let you place, for example, actions that your organization wants to drive people to take that in line in media. We offer one, but you could also perhaps call up your local paper and ask if you could set something up in their ad space. And you could co-brand that with your corporate sponsor so that you don't have to pay for the upfront cost. You get tons of eyeballs, and it's a really sort of unique way to be present at the moment when people want to take action. Another way that this can show up that's really accessible for folks are using QR codes, for example. Everyone's familiar with a QR code now on a menu, can scan it, pull up, what they want to eat for dinner. We can also use those things to bring our cause closer to people in moments when they want to take action. When they see something, when they walk past a bus stop, you can put a QR code on a flyer, on a billboard, at your event, anywhere that you want, and people can participate with you. I would really suggest using those things more to bring the digital world into the physical world more and really meet people at the moment where they want to take action. You can embed actions in social media in unique ways so that you can take the action at the moment that they're in social instead of linking them off all the time. And you can, like I mentioned at the top, use novel technologies like Action Button, which we really fell in love with, to embed those actions in any media outlet, to really drive new eyeballs, top of the funnel engagement, and try to meet people at that moment of inspiration. If you really think about this, who are your supporters and where are they seeing and engaging with your cause specifically, getting really creative about all the ways that you can meet them more easily, lower the barriers to meeting them. Think of your infrastructure as, the world, with QR codes and all of that, not just your website. You'll see a dramatic improvement in your top of the funnel, your new acquisition, and the speed at which someone becomes engaged and sort of loyal with you instead of a slow burn over time. So those are 3 of the sort of tactics that we've seen bear out to really improve folks' performance over the long term. There's a lot more to say, obviously. We could go on, especially with the beginning of giving season upon us here, with Giving Tuesday coming up so fast, and also the end of year giving. But these 3 areas, doing good, making it more fun, really leaning into distributing leadership to your people as your best advocates and recruiters, and then also trying to think creatively and strategically about the moments when folks are inspired to take action so you can meet them there, are evergreen. Those are going to be the best ways to get you through giving season and increase your donations, but they're also the best ways to build on your impact throughout the year. So if we can help, obviously, with any of those, we'd love to. You can scan the link here if you want to learn more. You can go to nationbuilder.com, obviously, if you wanted to sign up for any of our tech. You can also go to /courses and get free educational information on how to raise more money, for example, from what we've been able to see and derive. We really want to be a service to the sector. And I'm so grateful to all of you for what you're doing. So if there's ever any way we can help, we would love to. So that is the end of this part, but I want to do a Q&A with you all, and I'm happy to hang out a little bit and spend some time with you.
Hilary, we did have one question come in about a money bomb, and I popped that in the Q&A, but if you would like to wax poetic about the value of a money bomb, I would love to hear
it. Totally. That's one that's Googleable, I suppose, for folks who never heard that before. I should have explained it on the slide. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of like a pledge structure or something, but it's just another way to make donating a little bit more fun. Where you can kind of set a goal and a bunch of people can pour in, what they're committing to on a certain date, and at the certain date and time when you've, reached your goal, yay, all the money happens sort of at one time, and you can, go ahead and recover all those donations. It's kind of just a way to build urgency and excitement around donations and pledging that's distinct and fun, and can be a really actually good way to drive a digital event, because people can make those commitments in person and things like that on in a virtual space. So yeah, it's another one you can try. Feel free to look it up. There's a bunch of info actually on money bombs as well on our website. And yeah, I see backslash courses in the chat. There's a whole fundraising course there as well that I actually taught. Fun fact, I think that I did that about 2 days before my due date with my first child. So if I look tired, I am. But yeah, I hope there's lots of good information there that's available for everybody.
Thank you so much, Hilary.
Yeah.
Another question that's come in from Mark saying, I think I heard a data set is included. And so I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that, Mark, but I'll let Hilary take that.
Yeah, so we provide infrastructure for sure. You bring data. We're really committed at NationBuilder to data privacy and security. Folks own their data when they come to NationBuilder. There's nothing else going on in that regard. We're not algorithmically pointing anything at anybody. So no data set. With NationBuilder, you bring your own. What we can do, and we love to do, is provide all the best practices that we can to help you grow that data set. So again, from acquisition with things like Action Button, where you can bring more people into the top of the funnel, to the tools that you need to equip your people to drive more supporters, more new eyeballs, more signups, higher engagement. All of those tips, tools, best practices are available both in product and also throughout our documentation, our courses, things like that. But yeah, you bring your data. And the only other thing I guess that I could have mentioned is the data that we are able to bear witness to, again, aggregated, anonymized, just kind of being able to look across on aggregate our customer base and sort of see what is most high impact for our people so that we can pour that feedback into our product and build better tools, but also create experiences like this for folks to do everything that we can to share that out and serve the community.
Awesome. Thank you, Hilary.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have other questions, folks?
Was pretty dense. There's lots in there, I know.
Well, thank you, Hilary, for your time. This was a really great session. And thank you, everyone, for attending. We really, really appreciate it. We'll be following up with resources that Hilary named. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to anyone on the team at NationBuilder. Hilary, any closing thoughts?
No, I mean, I think like I said at the top, authentically, we are just so grateful for all of the work that you all are doing. It's such a crucial sector, and this is such a crucial time. And really believe that the nonprofit sector over the next 18 months will be the area that helps us recovery from the last 18. And for all of us really looking to do good, you are the place that we're going to plug into. So anything that we can do to be helpful, to make sure that you are getting what you need and are able to grow, to serve the communities that you need to serve and want to serve, we'd be happy to help. So yeah, feel free to reach out and engage with any of the resources, and just grateful that you all were able to join today.